Translations. So this is the first part of a unit talking about transformations. Now transformations is how we move figures, transformations. It's how we move figures around on the coordinate plane. Coordinate plane. Plane. Right, so that's what this unit is going to be. And the first thing we're going to do with those figures is we're going to translate them. Now when we translate figures, so I'm going to put translate. What we're doing is we're moving an image without turning it. So really, first thing I'm going to put in quotes here is we are sliding the figure. So it's moving without, without turning. Now what that looks like is this. So in this example I have rectangle ABCD. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it. That's a translation. No rotation, no reflection. If I move it again, I'm just sliding it around. It's still staying in the same orientation of A, B, C, and D. What we're also going to do in this is as we work, wherever the image starts, we're going to describe that as the pre-image. That's where that image is right when we start. So if I were to draw just a small rectangle here, similar to the one I just showed you, and I'm going to label it A, B, C, D, that is the pre-image. And the pre-image then is what we started with. And what that's going to do is, after we translate it, it's going to become the image. Now in this case, all I'm going to do is slide this figure over to this spot. So then I'm going to redraw my rectangle. And then I'm going to label it differently. And this time I'm going to label it on the outside so you can see it a little better. And that is, once I go from the image to the pre-image, now each point is going to get a little mark on its top left shoulder. It's like one little quotation mark there. Here, that vertex, that point is A. Here, we describe it as A prime, because we've moved it once. So this would be A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. Now, just to show you something crazy and really out of the box, if we move it again, so if we go from if we go from pre-image to image to another image, a second image, then this would turn into A double prime. So if we went from here, A, B, C, D, A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. If we went to a third spot, A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, D double prime. That's translations. Let's try a translation. All we're going to do is take a figure, our pre-image, and we're going to move it to our image. Now what I've graphed here is rectangle JKLM, and then these were the ordered pairs for those. So J is at -3, +2, K is at +3, +5 on the Y, and so on and so forth. Now, here are the marching orders. So for this translation, we're going to take this shape, and we're going to do exactly what it says here. We're going to move one unit right and 4 units down. Now, before we even start that, let's just differentiate here which values are going to be changing in terms of our X and our Y. So when we say 1 unit right, that means all of our X's, because our X moves along on the horizontal here, all of our X's, let's use a different color, all of our X's are going to increase by 1, because that's how the number line works. If we're going to go 1 unit right, every X is going to go up 1. Likewise, if this says 4 units down, Y, in our order pair, if you remember, our order pairs look like this, X then Y. y would decrease by 4. So we're going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means every one of these y values is going to decrease by 4. Now for this, because we have a coordinate plane and because we have a figure on there, we're just going to be able to count on the coordinate plane, which is really simple. So we'll do that for each point, and we'll do both steps at one time. So I'm going to use my black here for this. So I'm going 1 right and 4 down. So I'm going to start with J. J, I'm going 1 right and down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm labeling that J. You're right, it's not just J now, it's J prime. Now, I put some small dots on here just to show you where I'm going. Don't draw on your coordinate plane like that though, because you'll get really confused. There'll be too much going on. But then each one of these, we're going 1 right and 4 down like it asks us to. So here's M, 1 right, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. And that becomes M prime in our image. 1 right, 4 down, 1, 2, 3, 4. That becomes K prime in our image. 1 right, 4 down, 1, 2, 3, 4. There is L prime right there. Now, for the sake of your math teacher's heart, please, when you go to draw your image, get a straight edge. Don't just freehand it and give us a heart attack. Just take your straight edge, line them up, put your pencil on one dot, get your straight edge straight, and draw across. Put your pencil on one dot, get your straight edge straight, and draw across. Pencil on one dot, straight edge straight, draw across. Pencil on one, draw across. Now we've done it. We've taken rectangle JKLM and translated 1 right and 4 down. And we have the exact same image. Now here's the key to it. We should make mention of this. There's a relationship between these two rectangles, and do not forget this, that they are congruent. And we've been talking about congruency, but don't forget, congruent is when two shapes are the same size and shape. These are the same size and the same shape after we translate them. Now we're going to translate triangle PQR, but what you might notice is there is no coordinate plane here. So we can do this in the abstract, so we're going to have to do this with our spatial awareness in our brains, but also just use the math to translate this figure. So don't forget, when we're translating, we're just sliding a figure across, so we're just acting on both the x and the y of each. So we're starting here at 0, 0 for point P, 5, -2, and -3, 6 for point R. And then we're going to go to our new spot. So we've got our pre-image here. Just a reminder, pre-image. The image before the image. And then this will be our image. Now let's look at the translation. The translation tells us 3 units right, 4 units down. For me, if it's got left and right, I want to remind myself that's what's going to happen to the x. If it's got up and down, I want to remind myself that's what's going to happen for the y. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this a little bit like our function tables, and I'm going to put what we're going to do to each x and y into the top of our t-chart here. Now, 3 units to the right means I'm going to take x. Now let's remind ourselves that number line, if we're going to the right, it's increasing. So that'll be x plus 3. Then, 4 units down, I'm going to take my y, and I'm going to subtract 4. All right, let's put them in. So I'm just going to put a P here, a Q here, and an R here. Let's get our red. We're going to the red. So for P, I've got 0 plus 3. That's my x. I take my y, 0 minus 4. All right, so then 0 plus 3 is 3. 0 minus 4, remember minus 4, that's just combining 0 and negative 4, so P prime is 3, negative 4. Let's take Q now. I've got my X is 5, 5 plus 3. My Y is negative 2, negative 2 minus 4. So I've got 5 plus 3, which is 8. Now, don't forget, we're just combining two values here. I've got a negative 2, and I've got a negative 4. And when we put those two together, we get a negative 6. For R then, I've got negative 3 plus 3. My plus 3 has been applied to every one of those X values. Then I've got 6. I'll put my 6 in for Y. Y is 6 here. Minus 4. Combine negative 3 and positive 3, that's 0. Combine 6 and negative 4, when we put those two together, we get 2. So what we find is, without even a coordinate plane, the vertices of triangle P prime, Q prime, R prime are these. So we translated this triangle 3 units right, 4 units down, and this is where the image is now. Definitions. All right, let's hit these definitions once more. I'm actually going to write the word definitions. Who does that anyway? You heard me say it. You know we're doing definitions. All right, so let's just start right with the beginning. A translation. Translation. That is moving a figure without, that's the key, without turning or flipping it. So that key word, if you remember at the key word from the beginning of the video, the key word then is, that shape is sliding. Sliding along the coordinate plane. Then the next thing that's important to remember is the pre-image. A-G-E. The pre-image is where our figure starts. Where the figure starts. Then the image is where the figure finishes. Now I left a little space here. And the reason I left some space is that, let's remind ourselves how we label both of those things. So when we label the pre-image, we just label the points as such. So if this was rectangle ABCD, that's how we would label it. When we get to the image, we would label it as rectangle A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. Okay, if you have any questions, be sure to ask. Good luck.